Lights, camera, action.
Yeah. Whoa! I'm lost for words.
Yeah, pretty magical.
You can look for wildlife everywhere. It's in the cities, it's right outside your home. You just have to look for them.
On the western coast of India, Mumbai is home to over 20 million people. It's one of the most densely populated places in the world. Amidst the crowds and skyscrapers of the city, a BBC crew is here to film magnificent creatures that shine brightly, defying all odds.
And it's really amazing because not many people know they're here, and they're just right here in the city. It's pretty bonkers.
Zoanthids. Tiny organisms, commonly found on coral reefs, have made their home here, on the edge of Mumbai, fluorescing under UV light like nature's own city lights. But filming them is going to be tricky work.
They're only exposed for 4 days a month when the tide's really low, and then on those 4 days only for a couple of hours. So we've just got set up and we're waiting for it to go to dusk, and then we can start, and then the clock's going to be ticking to get everything before the tide comes in.
Filming such tiny organisms at night is complicated and frustratingly slow.
Yep. Okay, it's getting quite tight. So the water's really close tonight. We've never seen it this close before. But that's not actually the worry. It's actually between us and the land. The water comes in on both sides, and it's a bit of a bridge that it can actually cover. So we need to get across there before the sort of land bridge gets covered.
Salt water will destroy any unprotected equipment, so the crew must move fast. But they were forced to retreat too early.
We didn't quite get as much as we'd hoped. Yeah, we just ran out of time. It's just, yeah, it gets dark so quickly, and then the tide came back and we just had to leave. So, yeah, we probably did about half the shots we hoped to. So the shots we got were really nice. They look amazing. It looks like a magical pool right here in the city. So that's really cool. But, yeah, we didn't get enough. We didn't get everything we wanted to.
The crew knew that this would be a challenging shoot, and to help boost their chances of success, they're working with Sarang Naik. He's the photographer who discovered this tiny city, and he's passionate about protecting it.
I think it's really important to understand how and why these animals exist here, and the fact that they've always existed here is just that we are not aware of them. They're basically an underwater forest. So they have value for us. These are things we need to communicate with people, and I've realized that it's only when people get curious about this, they start caring about it, and that's when they feel like, okay, we need to protect these places.
With Sarang's help, the sequence is finally beginning to come together.
So we're getting a very nice picture of them glowing in UV light, a close-up picture, with the reflection of the city skyline in the water.
But once again, the crew are in a race against the tide, trying to keep filming as long as possible.
Yeah, the water's rising now, so we have to be fast. 10 minutes maybe, and then we can wrap up.
Just in the nick of time, they get everything they need.
It's incredible to see, and yeah, we've got some really cool shots tonight.
Just like the city around them, this little metropolis outside Mumbai has plenty of inhabitants.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, I've seen the pictures, but just being out on the shore in the day is one thing, and then when it goes dark and you just see these incredible tiny creatures just glowing, what starts off as quite a grey shoreline just turns into this wonderland of like magic pools that just glowing zoanthids.
After all their hard work and with Sarang's help, the team have succeeded in capturing the magical beauty of this secret spectacle. The words desert island conjure up images of soft sand, lapping waves, a palm tree or two, paradise. But this particular desert island is Rubud Island. It's in Bahrain, and it's far from paradise. The Asia crew have come here to film a large colony of Socotra cormorants, which are currently in the middle of their breeding season, raising their chicks.
I think it's pretty unusual to see seabirds in this sort of landscape. It's crazy, dry, arid, unforgiving, and obviously these guys are used to fishing at sea and being in sort of rocky, craggy places, but I don't know, it's quite a surprise to see them in such a desert sort of environment.
The crew must also deal with this sweltering desert climate, and the heat isn't even the biggest challenge.
We've got the masks on in here because there's a really fine dust of guano, like bird poo, that comes off the colony. And what happens is that can really clog up and fill the hide, and so you can't breathe a lot of the time. So we wear this to try to protect ourselves, and there's also a few nasty things you can get from the birds, so hopefully these are going to prevent that.
The worst thing is the flies. The flies just won't leave us alone. We know that they've just freshly emerged from cormorant carcasses, and the next thing they do is land on us and crawl all over our face. So that's probably the most difficult thing about being here, to be honest.
This is undoubtedly a brutal environment for people and birds alike. But lately, the cormorants have been having to deal with a new challenge.
It becomes really quite quickly apparent when you're here how much plastic is on this island. And for an island with no one living on it, it's just very depressing just to see that even here, all this stuff is getting washed up. We've seen juveniles playing with the plastic. We see juveniles eating the plastic as well. I've seen one get tangled up in some fishing net, which thankfully it did manage to escape from. Yeah, it's pretty sobering to come here and see that.
As if that wasn't difficult enough, the chicks face another danger at the very beginning of their lives: cannibalism.
Many of the juveniles here, the larger white birds, are abandoned by their parents, which means they're not being fed anymore. But unfortunately for them, is they can't forage for themselves, they can't fly, they can't swim, so they're starving. Their only solution is to walk around the colony and look for any food they can find. It's just rocks and sticks and bones. There's nothing to eat except small chicks.
They're all just so hungry. They're just waiting for any food. So it's unsurprising that they do this cannibalism. They are right on the edge. The number of dead chicks you see around the colony just shows you how on the edge these birds are.
Yet the majority of chicks have managed to survive the desert heat, the plastic and the cannibals. But nature has one last test to throw at them.
What a morning. We were kept up all night by the storm yesterday, expecting and fearing the worst. So what's the damage?
So we've lost our shed. It's moved 1 kilometer maybe to here.
The impact of this unseasonal weather on the cormorants is clear to see.
Lots of dead chicks after the storm last night. Was really heavy storm. So now all the white dots here are just dead chicks.
These guys literally have nests made out of dust in the ground. There's no shelter, there's no protection. So I can't imagine what they went through last night. Honestly, it's a miracle there's any chicks left alive at all. It's amazing that some of the more devoted parents just obviously must have stuck through it.
And now, remarkably, it appears that life on the island is already beginning to return to normal.
It's really promising that some adults are now going off to feed, because that shows that there is still something worth feeding.
In the last few days of shooting, the crew witnessed that for these birds, living on the edge is their day-to-day reality.
They make these amazing wavy formations, so just to see tens of thousands of birds doing that all at once was, yeah, it's pretty magical.
Yeah, it is overwhelming when 15,000 birds fly just very close over your head, and it's just the noise of the wings and the birds is just everywhere. That's pretty amazing.
It reminds me of, accounts you read of sort of Victorian numbers where the skies go black and there's just abundance and just animals everywhere. Beautiful.
The people living here, they always have stories to share about how they saw elephants 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
The Western Ghats are a biodiverse mountain range in southern India. Here, a BBC crew are filming a herd of resident elephants. But these sentient creatures are caught in the middle of a conflict. This seemingly lush green habitat is in fact dominated by tea plantations. Here, in this changing landscape, Ganesh Raghunathan is working tirelessly to protect India's magnificent giants.
They refer to me as Yanakar, which means the elephant guy. The sweet part of my work is I get to follow elephants and I get to spend a lot of time with them. My other part of my work is to ensure that people are aware about elephant presence, try and find ways to reduce the negative encounters that happen between the two species.
What was once an unbroken stretch of forest where elephants roamed freely is now a patchwork of farms and plantations, fragmenting their natural habitat.
Currently, this landscape supports about 70 to 80,000 people. This automatically brings people and elephants in a place where they are forced to share resources and space. There's not any other option. We cannot expect elephants not to be here, neither can we expect people not to be here.
One source of conflict is the belief that elephants jeopardize livelihoods by eating the tea leaves. But this is not the case.
Elephants do not eat tea. Many times you will see elephants standing in tea estates and dusting the mud off or whatever they've plucked up. And at that point of time you will think it is tea, but actually it's the weeds that grow in between these tea bushes. So they're actually doing a service to the plantations itself.
Despite their weeding skills, the presence of such large, curious animals in human landscapes can be destructive. Individuals like Ganesh are working tirelessly to come up with new solutions in order to help local communities affected by these conflicts.
For us to be able to successfully track elephants, we rely on a lot on the networks that we've built over the years. We've basically built a strong network where this information is made available to not just us, but to everybody else living in this landscape.
Ganesh has created an early warning system that informs residents when elephants are around, minimizing surprise encounters and decreasing conflict. And the team is able to observe the direct benefits of his hard work firsthand.
So we've been following this herd, been in the tea plantations, and this morning they've crossed over into this forest area. They now want to get back across this main road into the tea plantations. And there's a constant stream of motorbikes, cars and buses, and it's attracted quite a crowd because everyone wants to see them come out. Ganesh and the forest guards are just trying to let them cross in peace, so trying to hold people and the vehicles back so that they don't feel intimidated and they can just get across safely and in a stress-free way. Everyone's got their cameras out to actually see the elephants up close and out in the open. Everyone's really pleased, they want to come out and see the elephants. I think a lot of that is to do with Ganesh's popularity. He's spread the word about the elephants and people all respect him, so they're happy to wait, which is testament to Ganesh.
Through education and his innovative warning system, Ganesh has reduced the severity of human-elephant conflict in the Western Ghats, leading to a remarkable coexistence.
I think there's a lot of tolerance towards wildlife. People do enjoy watching wildlife and love wildlife, and there is still good hope for wildlife to thrive.
Snow leopards are nature at its perfection. Every time I see a snow leopard, I think it's a blessing.
High in the Indian Himalaya, few animals can survive the extreme conditions, but one big cat thrives. Cinematographer Alex is travelling to the Spiti Valley to join a local crew and film a family of snow leopards, which has been a lifelong dream of his. But first, he must get there.
So we just had one very small rock hit the roof of our car, but our driver, Sonam, says that it's actually a blessing, a very small blessing. That's fine. I just hope that the blessings don't get any bigger.
And the blessings seem to work. After 10 days of travel, a stroke of luck.
So I feel like one incredibly lucky guy. This is my first day here and my first ever snow leopard, and it's a mum with at least one cub. I'm lost for words.
But soon, the conditions turn, and the crew face the hard reality of filming so high in the mountains.
There's a snowstorm going on since morning.
But there's a snow leopard sitting right in front of us. It has cuddled up, covering its face with its tail, and it's entirely covered with snow. It's magical to see it like this.
The sighting is encouraging, but now a challenge is emerging that's putting the shoot in real jeopardy.
So one thing that never really foresaw as being a problem is just the sheer number of people here to see the snow leopards. The tourists are kind of following us, basically. It's really tricky because we don't want to disturb these snow leopards, and because there are so many people with us and they're being quite noisy, we just can't get close to the snow leopards at all.
The crew suspect that large groups of tourists are eavesdropping on their radio transmissions and moving in when they hear a filming spotter report a cat sighting. So, Alex comes up with a plan.
We've actually developed a code word for the snow leopard. So if they find the snow leopard, they'll just say on the radio, we've lost our sunglasses. Can you come and help me find my sunglasses? So hopefully this means that we can find a snow leopard in a place where there's not so many people, and this means that we can get a little bit closer to it without disturbing it, and that's the most important thing.
Ecotourism has grown significantly in this area, and it can be used as a force for good. Previously, snow leopards were seen only as predators that steal valuable livestock, but perceptions are shifting more positively.
Today, people are deriving a lot of livelihood from snow leopard tourism itself. From being a pest, if snow leopard is becoming an asset for people, I think it's incredible. But I also sometimes fear that if the tourism becomes like this kind of mass tourism, I think that should be a cause for concern for tourism in Spiti and in general for snow leopards.
It's hoped that local people can be convinced of the benefits of sharing their habitat with snow leopards, and a bond can be forged between them. As the months of filming draw to a close, emotions run high, especially for Alex, who has accomplished one of his biggest goals.
As you can see, I'm a little bit sad that it's our last day here. We've spent 2 months here, and it's been really special. Ever since I knew that these amazing animals existed, I'd hoped to be able to get to film them, and I just feel so incredibly lucky. That's just been a real privilege, getting to know this little family, this mum and her cubs, and I've grown incredibly attached to them.
Capturing such intimate footage of a snow leopard family is highly unusual. The crew have enjoyed a privileged glimpse into the lives of these elusive and iconic big cats. And as local perceptions evolve, the future for these snow leopards may be looking a little brighter.
Well, one of the village women here said something very interesting, and she said that our future is linked to the snow leopard's future, and that I pray to the gods that snow leopards do well. Now, if that is the kind of feeling that the communities in Spiti have, I think the future of snow leopards is very bright.
One of the most difficult stories to film was in the jungles of northern Sumatra, where the filmmakers had the arduous task of setting up a studio on the side of a rainforested mountain. The problem with filming the Titan Arum flower is that they only open up for a few days once every 10 years, and right in the middle of the rainy season. Up to 1 meter of rain is expected in the next 3 months.
So currently this is the first flower that's opening since the shoot has begun, and we are going to deploy at least 5 different cameras, 2 of which are not going to be moving, and then the other 2 are going to be kind of on sliders, and one's going to be overhead. This is basically because we're afraid that halfway through the flower opening, the camera might just fail due to either water or another fault. So we're going to have 2 safeties as a backup, basically.
The smell of the flower gets more and more pungent the closer it is to blooming. No stink yet, And coupled with the rain, it's unlikely to bloom tonight.
Better be worth it.
And so, time to go back to camp and grab some sleep. In the middle of the night, there's a rude awakening. The river next to the crew's accommodation has burst its banks.
The river level was rising. Myself and Arum, one of the fixers here, were looking at it thinking, this looks like it could get quite bad. And then we sort of checked some levels to see if it was getting any higher, looked like it was getting higher, and then we just had to make a call to tail it and to start grabbing stuff.
That is all underwater. Here's my room. All my personal stuff was strewn over the room. The cupboard had fallen over. We saved a lot of it.
Someone can take the iPad?
iPad? Yeah.
Yeah. And then some chargers?
Yeah. Still working. The cord is still on.
They're not mine. Chris, this is yours.
The crew must find new accommodation. But more importantly, the shoot itself is threatened.
Over behind us is the filming location. We have cameras out there, we have 2 guys out there, and we have 2 flowers that are ready to open either today or tomorrow, but we can't get to the filming site. We've lost power, we've lost electricity, and we've lost connection to the outside world, so yeah, not the most ideal situation to be in.
A day later, there's good news. The power is back on and the weather has settled.
Oh wow, the kit looks fine. So we just arrived at Site E, named after the flower E. We left 2 cameras, a slider, and a light here, and they seem to have withstood the flood.
Just a little bit of hair drying is required. And judging by the smell, blooming is imminent.
Just like rotting flesh or something like that.
All the flowers seem as if they're going to open within the next 2 days. The crew's problem is that they don't know which flower will be first.
The flower that we are trying to film, flower A, now looks like there might be something wrong with it, so it might actually be dying. So we're going to pull all this equipment out to put at the other flower, E, to try to get the opening.
But flower E seems to have other plans.
The flower is closed up slightly again, but flower E has closed up.
And it starts to become apparent the flowers are giving the crew the runaround.
But D will open.
D?
D. D now?
Wait, flower D. D, delta.
Yep.
It's a bit confusing. Oh, flower E, flower D, flower B, which one is that?
As the hours tick by...
Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you repeat?
The team have no choice.
Any chance of some tarp down at E for the macro crane when you're available?
They're going to have to move the kit around the forest all night.
Oh. So annoying. One of the most tricky environments I've worked in, and I've worked in a lot of jungles before.
Dude, why are these so tight?
Disgusting. That stinks.
And finally, when they are at their most exasperated, their best chance yet.
Basically, we don't want to miss this one because everything that we've done so far would be pointless.
All right, let's extend the legs.
Yep.
Okay, dig your feet in.
Just as the probe is put into position, it's flower D that puts on the greatest show. After 72 hours on the trot, 12 changes of location,
Hey!
2 2 changes of accommodation, and tons of equipment carried around the rainforest.
I mean, that's really sick. That looks...
Success.
The BBC film crew are in Mongolia and heading out into a freezing and barren wasteland. The Mongolian steppe. Once part of the vast empire of Genghis Khan, it is part of the largest grassland on Earth. The crew are here to film a nomadic animal that gathers here in vast numbers. But this is a tough place to work.
We've just arrived at the new base camp. They're just still building, as you can see, and it's quite amazing. Like these whole structures get thrown up in about an hour, and they're like all insulated against the -30 weather and whatnot. This is where we're staying.
The crew's target is the Mongolian gazelle, but finding them in such a vast wilderness isn't going to be easy.
Gazelles could be anywhere across the steppe, and it's a massive wide open space, so a really good way to find them is to get the drone up and get them from the air. They also run so fast and cover such a large distance that oftentimes the only way to keep up with them is with the drone.
But the first thing the drone reveals is a great scar cutting through the grassland. The Trans-Siberian Railway. Fenced in on both sides for hundreds of miles.
This fence was built around 1950, and the main purpose of this barbed wire fences was to keep animals, especially livestock, out of the railway because there is a risk of collision with the train.
This razor-sharp barbed wire poses a problem for the Mongolian gazelle, which has had its migration route cut in two. Miga is a scientist researching the problem.
The migration is halted. Mongolia used to have millions and millions of gazelles. They used to cover the whole steppe, but now the population is declining.
This divide in the gazelle's habitat is known as habitat fragmentation, and in this case, it means that many gazelles will not find the food they need and starve. Some gazelles decide to take their chances and run the gauntlet, but it's risky. The barbed wire can turn from a painful barrier into a deadly trap.
There is one fence maintainer informed us one winter he saw 3,000 dead animals along the fence when he was maintaining the fence.
It's a senseless death, isn't it? You know, it's horrible to see, to be honest. Every animal we film and every shoot we go on, we always build up kind of a strong bond through, because there's so much time and energy put into filming them, and to see something like this it's pretty heartbreaking.
The best solution is just to remove the fences so animals can freely go over the railway.
Making gaps in the fence has proven to be successful, allowing the migration to continue. But with the potential for livestock to wander in front of trains, it's not a perfect solution. Scientists here are now testing a new approach, which has the potential to save many lives whilst keeping the livestock off the railway line.
The one you can see behind me is redesigned fence. So the redesigned fence, no spikes on the bottom one and the top one, so animals can jump over it or go under it without hurting themselves. For 2 years of period of time, we didn't find any dead animal on these fences.
Despite this redesigned fence showing initial signs of success, it's still being studied. But it could prove to be a simple solution that keeps livestock safe while also allowing the migration of the Mongolian gazelle to continue. If it proves effective, the new fence could allow this beautiful species to survive, or even thrive alongside the presence of humanity.
So we've just been told that there's a panda sighting, and these guys don't really stick around too long, so we need to make sure we're packed up and ready to go so we can start on the trail.
Filming such a secretive creature was never going to be easy.
Yep, there's a lot of stairs. Carrying a 20-25 kilo backpack.
and 3,000 meters altitude, so breathing's fairly difficult. But panda at the end of the tunnel.
But despite their efforts, Ben and the team have arrived too late. Luckily, the crew has a secret weapon in the form of Shantanu Prasad. He has been working with red pandas for 8 years and is sharing his knowledge to help find them.
I used to be an engineer, biotech engineer, and then I became a birder. And that time, I visited this place. In 2011, I saw a red panda. And when that happened, it's like a very, very unreal moment because I never believed that this kind of charismatic animal can be seen in the forest.
Since that time, Shantanu and his team have patrolled the forest every day, and he's seen them a few more times since then.
More than 1,000 times. But still, same kind of excitement it gives me every time. And the landscape is so amazing and so mysterious. So it's a full package. I'm still getting a little bit of goosebumps. Talking to you about this forest is really, really mysterious.
With his unparalleled knowledge, Shantanu knows the best place to see red pandas. The crew, under his advice, have placed camera traps at various points in the forest, and the results are promising.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh yes, that's amazing.
With confirmation red pandas are active in the area, the hunt intensifies into the weeks that follow.
Do you ever wish you had a smaller camera? All the time.
The pandas are endangered, so Shantanu is determined to do his part in protecting them as much as he can. One way is to watch out for poachers in the area.
Poaching is really rampant. So our main idea is to go patrol the forest every day. And that is the reason why we eventually also know where the red pandas are and what they are doing.
It's not just the crew that benefit from Shantanu and his group's knowledge.
That help us to show the red panda to the tourist, and also the profit that we make for the conservation work on red panda.
Ecotourism is a practice that, when managed, can be a source of funds whereby some profits can go towards protecting the species.
So our main motive is to first give people idea that come to a landscape, experience that animal, and understand why it is important. And if we want to save anything, we have to involve the masses, And the masses can be only connected with love.
And working with the local people who know and love this place best is important too.
We are employing these people from different villages in this red panda landscape. So now everybody has a stake on this red panda tourism. So if there is a person who is a poacher comes in to this network, we normally get the news.
With Shantanu's help, the crew have managed to enjoy enough time with the beautiful firefoxes to complete their filming. And whilst a team remains in place protecting the pandas, the gate has been left open for their recovery.
For red panda, I do not know what attracts me to them, but they are also cutest animal, We have that connection with red panda, I do not know. Every time I see them still, it feels like it is not enough.
At the edge of Taiwan's lush jungles lies the bustling capital of Taipei. Amidst the skyscrapers and the hum of city life, a BBC crew is here to film an unexpected creature that has made this landscape its home.
So this here is a really amazing location. Usually flying squirrels will live up in the mountains, but they've chosen to live in this library of the elementary school, and it's not somewhere you would ever expect to have flying squirrels.
This male may be sleeping now, but when the sun goes down, he'll wake up and spring into action. The camera team must do whatever they can to keep up.
For us, it means that they're going to leave the school, probably after school time, late evening, and they're going to hop through the trees and cross the road, so they'll fly over this traffic. And we're setting up a couple of cameras just to catch that trajectory as they go. Hopefully we'll get it right, but we'll only know when they fly tonight.
The crew only have a small time window in which to get the shots it needs, so the team rig as many cameras as possible to get the job done.
So tonight we have about 6 cameras placed all around the back of the school. So we have 3 on the roof. We've got our cameraman with the long lens on the roof as well. We have 2 here on the tripod and then 3 remote cameras around the back.
Which means lights, camera, action. But this squirrel has other plans. And the crew can do nothing but wait. When their hero has finally had enough beauty sleep, he hits the town. But despite all the equipment the crew has brought, tracking him remains a challenge.
Yeah, it's so hard trying to figure out where they are on the canopy, and then suddenly they'll just launch themselves out of nowhere.
With the squirrels snoozing for most of the time, and then outmaneuvering the crew, the team are in trouble.
So we didn't actually get the shot, so we were trying to scrabble like last minute to get all the lights and the cameras in place.
With time running out, and the crew struggling to anticipate the squirrels' movements, more obstacles are cropping up.
So the problem with filming in Asia is the rain, and it's raining again today, which means the squirrel probably will come out. Doesn't seem to mind the rain too much, but all our cameras are looking up, and just getting water on the lenses all the time is really frustrating and sort of stops us from filming.
The next day, the crew face an even bigger setback. Their main star is missing.
Yeah, so we're a little bit concerned right now because we can't find our main male Rip. We think he's still in the area, but we've been checking on our remote cameras and we don't see him anywhere. He's not at his usual spot, so a little bit worrying, but we hope he's still here somewhere.
As the crew searches for Squirrel Rick without much luck, doubt starts to set in.
Takeoff tree. If we don't manage to get it tonight, I'll definitely be a little bit gutted.
With just one more day to go, and Squirrel Rick still missing in action, the crew checks their remote cameras.
Here he comes.
Oh, right, yeah, amazing. Yeah, right
oh my god, he jumps right over the camera too, and it's like filling frame. Oh, that's so good. Okay, let's go check the other ones.
It's like Christmas.
And the ground crew starts to see some movement.
Yeah, pretty stoked with that. That was whirlwind 5 minutes. All the hard work's finally starting to pay off.
After weeks of watching and waiting, the team can finally celebrate their success.
So cute. Oh, look at Rick. Dude, that's so good. The last few days I've been super stressed. There's been so much setting up and the shoot kept going wrong. Everyone was in a bit of a low. But today we finally got the shots we were hoping for. We set all the cameras up, all the lights up in the positions that we wanted, and the squirrel actually, he behaved. He came and shot exactly where we wanted him. He crawled along the wall and then he took flight. And yeah, I'm just so relieved. And yeah, so happy that today went so successfully.
Perhaps this school-dwelling squirrel was simply teaching the crew a lesson in patience.